Hey guys, it's Kyle Thompson here with eXp Realty, bringing you another monthly market update, and this week we're going to be focusing on apartments. Let's jump right into it. All right, so at a glance, we had 38 new listings, 27 new sales. The average list price was $400,956. The average sale price was $386,011. The average sale price to list ratio was 96.07. Average days on market was just shy of 63, and we ended the month with an inventory of 141 units. So let's jump over and take a look at the market conditions to see what that has to say. As always, I like to use both the monthly supply of inventory method as well as the sales to new listing ratio, as I find using both measures gives a more complete picture of what's going on in the market. With that said, when using the monthly supply of inventory method, we came in at 6.64 months worth of inventory, which puts us into buyer's market territory. If we look at the sales to new listing ratio instead, we came in at 71%, which means that we're in seller's market territory. You can see from July to August there, we had a big bump, which we will get into here in just a second. Now, let's jump over and take a look at the active inventory last month. The reason why we had such a big spike in the sales to new listing ratio was because we had far fewer listings in August than we did in July, falling from 53 down to 38. However, we did have much higher sales, rising all the way from 17 in July up to 27 in August. So that's what gave it the higher ratio. However, expireds also fell from 18 down to 7. So all in all, it was a fairly good month for apartments. And the benchmark price for apartments fell $9,300 from $386,200 down to $376,900. Now let's jump over and take a look at the end of month inventory. Last month, we ended the month with an inventory of 141 units, which is the highest this time of year going back to 2020. Currently, we're sitting about 10% higher than the 10-year average of 128. If we take a look at new listings instead, we see that so far year to date, there's been 396 new listings for apartments, which is the highest going back to 2021. Currently, we are sitting about 13% above the 10-year average of 350. Now, if we jump over and take a look at units sold instead, we see that so far year to date, we've had 187 apartments sold, which is the lowest going back all the way to 2015, so the second worst year in a decade. Currently, we're sitting about 18% below the 10-year average of 227. Now, let's jump over and take a look at the sales dashboard, starting off with the average sale price. This table is measuring year-over-year changes, so a full year over a full year, and when looked at that way, in aggregate, prices are down about 0.6%, falling from 398 and change down to just shy of 396. Currently, the most expensive areas of town for apartments are Tobiano, Dufferin, and Valley View, with an average sale price ranging from $458,000 and change up to $522,000 and change. And the cheapest areas of town are Dallas, North Shore, and Brock, with an average sale price ranging from around $319,000 up to $353,000. Now let's jump over and take a look at the sale to list price ratio. All this is a measure of how much properties are selling below the list price on average. So it's a proxy for how much negotiating room you have when you are the buyer. With that said, last month we came in at 96.07, which is essentially flat from the month before. But when looking over the last 12 months, we actually do have a fair bit of negotiating room when you are the buyer. Now let's jump over and take a look at sales by sub-area. Once again, this chart is measuring full year over a full year, and when looked at that way, sales are down about 12%, falling from 291 down to 256, with most areas of town being down, with the exclusion of Aberdeen, Pineview, and Valley View. Now let's jump over and take a look at how long it's taking properties to sell, starting off with the 10-year. So far year to date, it's taken an average of 51 days for properties to sell, which is about 24% below the 10-year average of 67. However, if we look at the trailing 12 months instead, we see that last month we had a big spike up again, rising from 53 days up to 63 days. Currently, we are sitting about 24% above the 12-month average of 51 days. Finally, let's take a look at how long it's taking properties to sell by sub-area. This table is measuring full year over full year again, and when looked at that way, in aggregate, properties are selling about 24% faster than they were the year prior, falling from 67 days on average down to 51. And currently, the fastest selling areas of town are Tobiano and Dallas, with an average days on market between 21 up to 28. However, there's only been a couple of sales in those areas, so take that with a bit of a grain of salt. whereas the areas taking the longest to sell are Sun Peaks, Valley View, and West Side, with an average days on market ranging anywhere from 71 up to 87 days. So to sum things up, even though we had strong sales in August and were for the month in a seller's market, when we look at it in aggregate, apartments are still in a buyer's market. With inventory building and sales being terrible, I do expect the buyer's market to continue. Now, when we look at the big picture for how quickly the properties are selling, they are still moving relatively quickly, but when we zoom in and take a look at the numbers over the last year, we see that it is taking longer for properties to sell, indicating that the market is slowing down. That's all we have for today. I really hope that you guys are continuing to get value out of these market updates. If you are, consider liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel. And as always, if you have any input or suggestions on things that you would like added to these market updates, or maybe something wasn't explained clearly enough, please feel free to leave your comments or suggestions in the comment section below, and I will get to them as soon as I'm able. Thanks for watching.